Hello Tamers, and welcome to this Medusamon deck profile. As always, I'm Regina or Regigglypuff, and thank you so much for checking this out. With the release of BT21, there's going to be so many decks out there because we're in uncharted territory, because we are officially on the same release schedule as Japan, and that's exciting and fun in its own way. So this is the deck list I came up with for Medusamon so far. It does need to undergo some more testing because there are a lot of lists out there that I'm seeing now that I'm like, oh, this seems really cheeky and I love this idea. But as of right now, this is what I've come up with and I'm comfortable with after some testing, and I hope you all really like it because I love Elizamon. I loved her ever since her introduction in Liberator, and I was super excited to see that she had such a cool and sassy level 6. So let's get into it. Now we're going to start with the Digi Eggs. We are actually only running 4 of this BT21 Gigimon. That is the Gigimon from this set, and I'm not going to plan to run any other eggs just because whenever I flip over an egg, I'm always hoping it's this one, so there's no need to give myself the stress of having a 5th egg. This is a great card for me because I think facilitating the evolution is really nice. Whenever your opponent, whenever you check an opponent's security, you can activate this. So as a refresher, this card reads when an opponent's security stack is removed from, which means that if it's a Digimon that you check in security before the battle happens, this can activate. You can choose to activate it. If it's an option card or a Tamer card outside of certain circumstances, then those will activate and resolve first before your Digimon or when a security stack is removed from can resolve. This is very important because of progress later on, but generally think of this like the BT-14 Koromon, which also acts in the same way. Now, the fun part about this Digimon is it doesn't care about the Digimon that's evolving, only when it evolves into. So if you have 2 Digimon on the field and one of them has a Digimon underneath and the other one doesn't, the Digimon can choose the other stack that doesn't have the inherent underneath it, because it just says one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card. So it's a really nice way if you get multiple bodies on the field somehow to make sure that you can at least do a weird version of a chain linking with evolution. So I do really love the idea of it. The cost reduction by 1 also helps a lot. Now we're going to move on to our level 3s. So the first level 3 that we're going to be running here is the Elizamon. We're going to be running a 4 of this BT21 Elizamon and then a 4 of the BT21 Agumon. The reason we're running 4 of the BT21 Elizamon is she is a searcher. She searches top 3 for a reptile or dragonkin and then a liberator. So much like the other liberator rookies that you've seen before. You are usually going to get 2 hits off of her search, the option and then the rest of her line. Her Medusamon option, Raging Serpentine, and then the rest of her line, so Dimetromon, Lamiamon, and Medusamon, are actually all Liberator in their traits as well. And then the rest of the Digimon inside of this are all reptiles or dragonkins of some kind, and then Owen himself is a Liberator. The only things you aren't going to be grabbing are certain options in the deck, and that's just how it goes sometimes, right? Her inherit also gets you a memory back, the same way that the BT-14 Koromon, and then the Gigimon that we're using also let you activate effects. So she gets the memory back when security is checked, again, only if it's a Digimon and only if it's the option doesn't kill your stacks somehow if you don't have protection, right? The Agumon that we're using in here has 2 roles in this deck. One, it has a great, really good on player in my opinion, the returning the reptile or dragonkin trait from your trash to the hand. That is basically your entire deck except for 2 Digimon, and this means if your stack dies or if security is checked and you're like, I needed that piece, you can play this Agumon, get it back. Its inherit is also really important. It gives you a plus 2k DP boost, and honestly, after playing this deck a couple of times, DP is one of the things that you actually have to struggle with on the return, or even checking in security sometimes. You just have to be really careful about that. So the second part of the rookies that we're going to be running this Guilmon from EX4. We're going to be running 2 of those, and then this Agumon promo we're only running 1 of. This Agumon promo was available either through Tamer parties, either through event packs, or if you did the Digimon Survive tour and did the demo, they gave them out as part of a set of 3 that had the Liberators and the Falcomon as well. The reason we're running the Guilmon is it allows for rush later on in the game. The rush only activates if you and your opponent have 20 cards in your trash collectively. So I'm sure many of us have probably died to this Guilmon before, and it feels very odd to be using it, but it's also very funny to use it. I understand now why it's so fun. More importantly, it does evo for 0 over Gigimon, so that's the other big reason why I'm not really looking at any other eggs, just because I don't like paying 1 to evolve into a rookie. I really genuinely hate it. I love this promo Agumon because it does have an on play as well, so if you have a Red Tamer in play, which we hopefully usually do, you delete an opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. It hits a lot of floodgates, and it hits the petrification tokens. So you either get rid of something that's not getting you back, that's preventing you from getting back memory, from like reducing play costs or evolution costs, or you're just getting rid of a petrification token and you're removing a security card, which lets you do a lot of other fun shenanigans later on. There is another Agumon that has the same sort of on play. It does cost 5 though, so the reason I'm running this version instead is because I'd rather pay a 3 than a 5 if I have to hard play it instead of being able to play it by an effect. Now, those are the end of our rookies, and we're going to head into our champions. We are running 4 of this Dimetromon from BT21 as well, because she lets you play potentially 2 Tamers for its evolution costs. I have been loving the when digivolving if you have 1 or fewer Tamers effects. I think they're super great. The only way I don't like them is when they're in ShineGreymon. I'm so sorry. I will be a ShineGreymon hater till the day I die, probably. Maybe. Don't quote me on that, everyone. But Dimetromon specifically is when digivolving, you can play an Owen Dreadnought from your hand without paying the cost. And let me tell you all, if there is a certain Owen that you do not have on the field by like your mid to late game, you are going to be struggling with this deck. Owen is actually one of like the crux of this deck, not surprisingly, right? It also gets you back a memory when security is removed, so much like its rookie counterpart, it also gains you back a memory when a security card is removed from. Now moving on to our next set of level 4s, we're running 2 of the Tyrannomon from EX8, and then a 4 of the Cyclonemon from this set. Now, both of these are security Digimon that also do battle, and they give unit boost as inherits as well. When I say that they do battle, it means at the end of your battle, you play this card without paying the cost. And I say this because a lot of us who have played Digimon for a really long time, I think we have been conditioned by Zwart Defeat that has a security effect that says play this without battle, and for some reason it's always stuck with us despite how many security Digimon there have been after that and before that. Just Zwart Defeat was the most prominent one in that time frame. So I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people ask, do they still do battle in security? And that's how I know how long you've been playing Digimon for, or at least it's a good indicator sometimes. But both of these will do battle at the 5k, and then they can get played out. And it's really neat seeing having a level 4 on the field, because sometimes you don't have anything in the back and you're like, oh cool, that might have saved me. I think the Cyclonemon is just really cool too, because it has an on play and a one digivolving effect, which allows you to delete a 4k DP Digimon, and it hits a lot of level 4s, but more importantly it also hits the petrification tokens, and we love when we delete petrification tokens, because if you haven't run into them yet, petrification tokens have an on deletion effect that when they are deleted, you trash the top card of your security stack. They are 3000 DP Digimon that cannot suspend. That's the most important part about them, is they cannot suspend. Now, the Tyrannomon was actually a new edition. It was semi-recent. I was kind of waffling on it for the longest time, but it was either this or a hybrid, and I'm still kind of waffling back and forth on them, but the Tyrannomon's been proving really great in the deck so far, because it gives you a 3000 DP boost that lasts until the end of your opponent's turn. So that means a lot of the times your 5s and 6s are really protected by that extra boost. It also means that for the most part, you're swinging 8k DP if you're just swinging with a Tyrannomon. But it also does give a 2k DP boost as its inherit, which again, super important for this deck. Now we're going to be moving on to our level 5s. So that was not in order, but hey, here you go. Spoiler alert, it's going to be 4 Cyberdramons from this set. I actually think it's the most important level 5 in this deck. That on play when digivolving is so great. If your opponent has 5 or fewer security cards, they place 1 card from their hand as the bottom security card, then you trash their top security card. It's a great hand disruption. So it kind of messes with their security a little bit, because they have to look at their hand and are forced to make a decision. And sometimes that means they're going to probably put a Tamer in there. Sometimes it means they're probably going to put an option in there that's like a really good bomb in security. But you also have to remember that you're going to be trashing a lot of those security cards sometimes. So it's a little bit less worrisome than before, but it's also really great to just be able to get that trash because it allows for your activation of either Gigimon or Raging Serpentine just because of that on-player when Digivolving. Because your opponent is removing or is trashing their top card, it's counting it as removing the security stack. So that activates either one of those two Gigimon or Raging Serpentine activations. Also, the Inherit is kind of insane. Plus 4k. It's so good. That is such a huge DP boost, and it's probably one of the best level 5s like that you could run in this deck. I don't know that I could ever see myself cutting it because this in combination with Owen is just so powerful. That being said, we will be going to our second ultimate in this deck, which is Lamiamon, and I love her so much still. She is being run as a 4 of in this deck because those are the only 2 level 5s that I'm currently running. I love her vibe a lot, okay? And as much as I love Cyberdramon, I think Cyberdramon is really good once you have the Owen on the field. Lamiamon is also very good out on the field, but in case you don't want to miss that on-play when Digivolve effect, it's always safe to evo her in the raising area because she does have a your turn effect instead, and her your turn effect makes blocking or raiding more difficult for your opponent because when any of your reptile, raiding doesn't really actually, raiding could also matter for this Lamiamon. It's actually kind of funny. But whenever your reptile or dragon can trait attacks targets change, you trash your opponent's top security card. So blocking for your opponent on like when they're trying to block your attacks makes it more difficult. But if you have a Digimon that has raid, it's really funny because you can also trash the top card and do some more stuff. They did balance it a little bit with the your turn, but I have had games where I will swing with the Lamiamon knowing full well that there's a blocker on there. And people are very nervous about blocking that because when that attack target changes, they trash the security card, and now you can activate either Raging Serpentine or Gigimon, and you can evo into a level 6. So I love that sort of like mind game that they have to play with themselves. And its Inherit actually allows you for level 4 or lower to be played, so it can help with rush or removal later on, and it will activate when you evo. Like there's some really weird attractions with this deck because the Inherit activates on the second check once you've evoed into Medusamon, because Medusamon has a security attack +1. The game will now see it as that same Digimon attacking in the middle of the battle with the checks going on, and then Medusamon will have that second check, and then Lamiamon will see that second security stack being removed. It's really confusing but really fun. So Lamiamon for me, I know some people don't like her as much because the Inherit doesn't allow for a DP boost, and that's sort of what the deck is missing sometimes. But I think being able to play Digimon out from your hand is really nice because you can play a Searcher, you can play the Recursion Agumon, you can play the Removal Agumon, you can play a Rush Guilmon. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and I would feel bad cutting her because I think she's really like look at this art, it's so cute. That leads us to our boss monsters. So part 1, Medusamon. We are, of course, running her as a 4 of. I love her design. She's really, really fun. She can evolve in the middle of an attack due to the wording of Digimon and Serpentine. So, when a card is removed, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into this. So, into like Dragonkin or Reptile, right? So, it means, let's say you're swinging with Cyberdramon, you're swinging with a Lamiamon. You swing, you check a Digimon, you're like, okay, cool. When a card is removed from your security stack, I'm going to have these effects. You're going to activate the effect and you go into Medusamon. And then now there's one more check on that Digimon that the game recognizes as such. You can choose when to activate the when Digivolving and the end of attack too. So this means that it's much like you Guilmon players out there for your X antibody, you may delete one of your opponent's lowest CPU Digimon. You can choose to do that. You can choose to not do it. You can just be like, here, take all the petrification tokens that you want. I'm not going to do anything to them. I really like it because the 3000 DP for petrification tokens means that you can delete other things and leave the petrification tokens out on the field against them. What I love is the all turns effect is one of your opponent's Digimon are deleted or their security stack is removed from, they play a petrification token, and you let them flood their board with useless tokens that benefit you in the long run, right? All they can do is really sit there and stare at them and be like, okay, cool, if enough of these get deleted, then I'm going to be at 0 security. And that's kind of a scary feeling. The most fun part about petrification tokens, they shut down scrambles. Why? Because they're a Digimon. And there's not really a great way for them to, like, delete those Digimon because they can't really do much. Actually, in all if I'm being honest here, I had Medieval Guilmon in this deck, and then I read Petrification tokens, and I went, oh, Medieval Guilmon is useless to me in this instance, because Petrification tokens can't suspend, which is the most important thing, because it means they can't use it for Medieval Guilmon, they can't use it for Lions, they can just sit there and stare at it. So it's kind of funny, honestly. I try actually not to delete Petrification tokens unless like I absolutely have to, because I'd rather focus on deleting Digimon more than anything else. So part 2 of the megas is 2 of the WarGreymon from BT21. Could you believe that I actually cut this for a brief moment before I reread it and went, wait, this card is actually really, really good. This is one of your game finishers. This and the Guilmon are probably the most common way that you're going to be winning this game. Raid can potentially let you raid into Petrification tokens and then do another check, because it has an all turns when any of your opponent's Digimon are deleted, this Digimon may unsuspend. It's also a blocker. Like, why is it a blocker? I don't know. Why does it have blocker, raid, and rush? I don't know. It's WarGreymon. That's probably the easiest explanation for it. Which means that all turns can allow it to block twice. 11k is very low though, so normally you'd probably want to have this paired up with that Tyrannomon from earlier on, just so it has an extra DP boost. But yeah, 11k is a very, very low effect. If I had, guys, I wish I could tell you how many times I've had, like, my opponent on 0 security, they have a bunch of Digimon, I'm just like, I'm gonna hard slam this WarGreymon and let Owen use it to swing for game. It has rush. Why? And then part 3 of my megas. Okay. This is just funny. VictoryGreymon from EX4. This is a 1-of in the deck. Hear me out. It's a funny board wipe. When Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. For every Digimon your opponent has in play, you add 2,000 to the maximum this DP-based deletion can affect. And then alter, yeah. So you can delete a Petrification token if like, or like anything 6k. That hits a lot of 4s, everyone. That's a lot of 4s. And then when that happens, the alterns activates. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted, if you have a Tamer in play, which please, I hope you do at this point, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP. Look. It's funny. It's 2 things that you're going to clear, because essentially they have to worry about their like probably best Digimon on the field, and they're like, because normally against this deck you're like, okay, cool, like you're going to delete like the small tokens and all that stuff, but at least your big body is saved. Not with VictoryGreymon. It's freaking hilarious. And honestly, the funniest part is the one Digivolving effect is boosted by any tokens you give your opponent, because they count as Digimon. So if you're like, here's 3 tokens, that's another +6, so you could delete a 12k like a 12k DP. So if they have 2 6s on the field, you're just like, well, I'm gonna delete both of them because it's funny. Honestly, it's worked for me once or twice, but because I'm running it as only a 1-of, obviously I won't see as much as I will my Medusamons, but I think it's a neat little Digimon to run. But that's actually it for the Digimon, and now we're gonna go into the Tamers, or I guess like the Tamer, because we're running 1 Dreadnought from BT18. And then we're running 4 of these bad boys from BT21. Now, BT18 is a memory tamer, and in this deck, once you start playing it, you will realize you really do need a lot of memory tamers. Or a lot of memory, because 3 memory is so important in this deck. But the only reason I'm running it as a 1-of is because I actually like the 3-cost tamer a little bit more, and I would rather see the 3-cost tamer more than I would see the 4-cost. And it's not because of the memory, it's because of their effects. Now, the BT18 does let you delete when an opponent's security is removed. This means that you'll hit a lot of 4k bodies, which are some level 4s, most level 3s, and then the Petrification tokens. But the BT21 Owen allows for end of turn combos. Like almost all the other Liberator 3-cost tamers, he has a start of main phase where if your opponent has a Digimon, you gain a memory. It's end of turn. By suspending this tamer, one of your Digimon with a reptile or dragonkin trait gains piercing for the turn, then that Digimon attacks. The wording on this does not imply that it gives it rush. The Digimon can only attack if it's able to attack. Please remember that. That's why the WarGreymon is really funny, because it has rush. So you hard play the WarGreymon, you tap the Owen for end of turn, and you swing for game. I've done it multiple times, and it's really, really fun. Again, like, it can be the game winner for its end of turn effect, and it's really cheeky, and it's great, and it's hilarious. And honestly, that 1 memory can be all the difference sometimes. If you didn't catch it, Medusamon and VictoryGreymon are both 4-cost evos. You have to pay 4 for the memory for it, and it's a lot. Technically, you're getting it back with the Dimetromon and the Elizamon inherits, but it's still a lot, y'all. But honestly, I am very happy with this Owen spread. I did have it at 2 and 3, and then the more I was playing, the more I was like, no, I need this 3-cost Owen as much as possible, because the other important combo that you have with the 3-cost Owen is the Cyberdramon. If you pass the turn when you evolve into Cyberdramon sees the trashing and is like, okay, cool, you can evo into something, and then you can suspend the Owen and swing still with it. So you can technically swing with it like your level 6 off of your level 5. It's really neat. It's kind of fun. I love both of these arts, though. I really, really loved this character, and I'm so happy I finally have a deck for him, everyone. So we're going to go into our options now. So 2 offense trainings, which is promo 103, and then 2 red scrambles from LM number 27. So if you're new to Digimon, these are probably some of the most important cards you will ever use consistently. If you only have 4 of these, get more. I'm actually in the point now where like I need to go buy more sets of trainings because I am running low for all of my red decks that I'm suddenly running, and I don't know where they all came from. But trainings and scrambles are probably the options that you will slot in the most into most of your decks. They will probably fill in like a need that you don't realize that you always have, because they are great reductions for evolutions, and they're really good searchers in case of the offense training. The offense training basically picks up every single card in this deck, and it's fantastic. The more memory that you can save with the evolutions, the better, which is what Red Scramble is really good for. It is a little awkward because there's usually you want to be able to be in mid-swing to get into your Medusamon, but the Red Scramble does help you early on for your 4 into your 5s, so they're really nice. Every piece of like I said, every piece of memory matters for the high-cost evolutions. This is in terms of the Red Scramble, so your red Digimon can evo into something for a reduced cost by 3, so please be careful of floodgates that say you can't reduce evolution cost. Scrambles are also really good because they help you grab back important pieces. If you have no Digimon on your field, then you can play out of body as well, but more importantly, if your opponent has a Digimon, which if they have a petrification token, that means your scramble can always be live. You can put back a piece for your deck on top of your deck. You won't be able to play out the Digimon if you have one on the field already, but this means that you can at least try to fix your hand and help save yourself. Honestly, petrification tokens are doing so much work for these options. It's really, really neat. Now, the second option that I am running here is the Fireball from EX2. I really like this one because it can fix your hand by drawing 2 if you can't delete something. It also kills floodgates or petrification tokens if you do have something on the field to kill. But I do love that you can just draw 2 from this. It's also a really good card, like in security, because you either delete something that might swing with game 4 or you delete a petrification token. I will also say though, it's nice for its low play cost. You're paying 2 for it. It's nice to have. And I've had games where after I've mulliganed, this is the only thing in my hand that I can play, and at least I'm getting 2 extra cards in my hand for the next turn, and only doing it for 2, right? I will say that this is also substitutable with the BT-8 Crimson Blaze. I actually keep waffling between these two. I am starting to test with Crimson Blaze because if your opponent has petrification tokens, you can use it to wipe their board. And it also shuts down their scrambles, and more importantly, because of the wording of Crimson Blaze, that doesn't stop them from playing petrification tokens because you're the one playing the petrification token for your opponent instead of them playing it. It's really weird. There is a rules clarification on that you can probably look and ask around for, but Crimson Blaze doesn't stop your opponent from playing petrification tokens, just as a heads up. So, but like I said, those are the two I'm like kind of waffling between. I would probably only run either one out as a one of. The last option that we are running in here is Raging Serpentine. We are running this at a 4 of. I love this card. Every time I play this card, I just think of Gaia Force. They're both 8 cost. They both delete something. Raging Serpentine does delete the highest cost Digimon, and it does actually activate for a cheaper cost if your opponent has 3 or fewer cards. 3 or fewer security cards, which means it can be a 4 cost removal, and then you put it in your battle area. It is so neat. Delay is also all turns, which means if your opponent is using Blinding Ray, which I hate that card still after playing against Armor Rush, which was a mistake. If they do that, if they barrier, it just says, hey, all turns, your opponent removed a security stack, you can delay this. The neatest thing about this is it lets you Evo into a Reptile Dragonkin without paying the cost. Unfortunately, if they do hit an insecurity, you aren't able to play it in the battlefield because that would be disgustingly broken and super, super good. But the all turns does specify that it has to be a Reptile or Dragonkin to Evo into a Reptile or Dragonkin, so please keep that in mind, because there are 2 cards in this deck, which would be the Tyrannomon X, that actually aren't either one of those. It's only, that one's just Dinosaur and Liberator, so she does very much care about, this option does very much care about the traits for it. So, excuse me, this is also just a really great security bomb. It's fantastic. Who doesn't love, like, hitting into that and being like, cool, delete your Digimon with the highest DP? It's just neat. I love it. And that's honestly the end of the deck. Like, that's all of them. So here's the deck list for you as a visual thing, and the conclusion that I've come to with this is it's not the most powerful deck out there right now, but it's a lot of fun and I have been enjoying it a lot. It's still in the process of being tinkered with. Like, I kind of want to add in a hybrid, I want to change some of the ratios, but it's been really neat trying to figure this out. And there are some deck lists out there that I will be testing. If you haven't seen the one that has the Pyldramon and the original red tie for like an OTK version of this deck, I will try to find a list, and like that list is so funny. I really do want to test it, but I love this a lot. I think VictoryGreymon is hilarious in this, and it's been fun. So thanks for watching, because that's all I really got for you, and hopefully you've been having a lot of fun with Medusamon, and if not Medusamon, hopefully you've been having fun with a lot of BT21 decks. But thank you for checking it out, and have a wonderful day.